Right. Good morning, everyone, and thanks a lot for joining us. Happy Monday. It's a new week on the 19th of July. My name is Ben Mine, and I want to welcome you to yet another session, thematic session of the Youth Ideathon. This is brought to you by the United Nations Development Program and implemented by NASE. We've been doing this since last week. It's been going amazing. We are tired, as you can imagine, but also excited with all the things that have been going on. And we're looking forward to all these sessions. We've so far done things to do with agriculture. We've done things to do with tourism. It's been amazing so far. Today is especially special because we're doing the manufacturing panel. Of course, if you have heard anything about our Vision 2040 as a country and our need to transfer to a middle income status, you will have heard our president talk about the need to increase our manufacturing capacity. Well, today, we'll get to talk about what opportunities there might be for you to be able to tap into this, even as we try to take Uganda to where it needs to go. And the Youth Ideathon, you will get to hear a little bit about from our CEO at NASE in just a moment, and also a wonderful panel of experts in the manufacturing sector who will then be sharing their insights in terms of where we are as a country in manufacturing, our background and history, but most importantly, what opportunities there might be for you to take advantage of from these sessions and also for the Ideathon. As we start, without wasting too much time, I want to hand over to Dennis Aguma, who is the CEO at NASE, to give a brief overview of where we have come from, what the Ideathon is about, what we're hoping to achieve, and what you can expect over the next 2 hours. And then we'll dig into it by getting to our panelists. Good morning, Dennis. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Ben. Good morning to our lovely panelists. Thank you very much for sparing time to join us at a very short notice, because this session was supposed to be aired tomorrow. But I think the oversight on our part, we didn't really factor in the fact that it would be ED. So we've moved it today. So at a very short notice, thank you very much, our panelists, for having accepted to join us nonetheless. And to our participants, I think the number usually starts low, but it keeps growing. I can see it moving up. Thank you very much for joining us. Mine is really just a quick summary of where we are, where we've come from. People keep asking us, what is this organization called NASE? We are a social enterprise that we registered in 2015 with support from Kingston University in London, and have since worked with quite a number of UK universities and Ugandan universities, mainly focusing on enterprise and entrepreneurship skills for the youth before our young people actually leave universities to join the world of work. Perhaps maybe a small video to show you some of the stuff that we do. This was taken at just recently at my career university. You can see working with the university, COBAMS, the College of Business and Management Sciences. We were able to see around 1,300 students, not just sit in class and study entrepreneurship, but actually go out there and come up with real products and services. So our focus mainly is usually to inspire, to skill, to incubate. And for some of these young people, they usually are available grants for them. The Makerere University team actually won, I think, about 10 million shillings worth of grants, which are going to help them as part of the incubation to help them take these ideas to another level. And I would actually encourage, especially our panelists, to take note of these sections, because what I noticed in some of these expos is that these students are brilliant, but some of their products could use some help from a scaling perspective from one or two individuals that have access to the equipment, the knowledge, the know-how, things around packaging, things around standards and so, but they're not short of ideas. I can confirm that. NASE's focus really is to leverage the power of entrepreneurship to achieve socio-economic transformation. What we've done in the past mainly has been the LEAP conference. Sadly, because of the lockdown, we are not able to do these kind of things, but we are not giving up. We're doing most of these virtually. This was last year and a half at Makerere University, where you had over 1,000 students from quite a number of universities together, brainstorming on ideas. And they don't just sit on these ideas, they actually go out there and put these ideas into practice. One of the things we are focused on is practical, hands-on, co-curricular entrepreneurship education for students. Often you find that people sit in class to study about entrepreneurship. What we're finding is that a co-curricular approach where students don't just study entrepreneurship, but they actually go out there in the field and study and put these things into practice. We find that that is becoming more effective in equipping our young people with entrepreneurship skills. And you can see some of the stuff that these guys come back with, you know, real products that our panel really should interest themselves in. They're making real juices, they're making probiotic yogurts from what we used to call bongo. The ideas were incredible. The guys were making, this is just from Makerere University a few months ago. They were making, one of the guys had a washing machine, would you believe, that you can use as a gym. So as you're gymming, almost like a bicycle, you're busy washing your clothes and things like that. So they're very creative and would call upon not just government, but also our panelists that are able to mentor some of these young people to give them a hand. But also, crucially, we find that from a skilling perspective, this is arguably the most effective way to skill someone. Not throwing them at the deep end per se, but some of these skills that we're talking about, skills that innovation and creativity. To put this product here, you need to be creative. Communication. By the time you actually convince someone to buy this particular product, you are learning hands-on on how to communicate. Negotiations, you know, how do you negotiate a price mark? How do you source all these raw materials, the plastics? How do you design your products and services? How do you do research about the market? So these skills are really, really good. And I think for the government of Uganda, focus needs to be put on institutions where these young people are before they leave the world of work. And in this space, really all you're talking about are ideas, simple business ideas. And that's what the Ideathon is all about. The word Ideathon is borrowed from the word ideation. So it's a creative way of generating ideas, developing them, and communicating them. We're really focusing on, we're not talking about business plans or sophisticated models. No, at this stage, we're just really talking about the idea. Is there a problem you're trying to solve? Is there a pain that you're trying to relieve? And how does your product or service fit into that? Once you have this, we can help you as part of our incubation to build a business around that. And the process might be worth going through it, not just for the benefit of the panelists, but also someone who's just joining, who has missed the previous sessions. We are right now going through the application process, which is ending, I think, this week. Right now, we're going to do the thematic sessions. This is one of them, and each of them has really been brilliant. Different categories, tourism, name them. And after that, we're going to have an ideathon, the real ideathon, which is essentially putting this idea to a rigorous test where we are going to help you to pick the business from that particular idea. Most of these will end up being invited to pitch, and you should expect to have at least 6 months business incubation support for the winners. I did mention last time that intellectual property is a key part of what we're trying to do, and we put aside some resources to make sure that the intellectual property for the ideas where there is intellectual property that needs to be protected, that we're doing our very best to give you a hand. This value alone, the average cost, I think, of an intellectual property, if I'm not mistaken, is like 180,000 or 200, depending on the complexity. Some of them can actually be quite a big deal. So even if nothing else, even if you don't win the grant, if we discover that your idea is one that needs to be protected and giving you that hand, we really think that's more than value for money. So far, perhaps the good news for not just the NASE team, but for our colleagues at the UNDP who have very kindly supported the Youth Ideathon in more ways than I can explain. We're right now looking at over 3,200 bright ideas, and this is counting. So we should not be surprised if we get to around 4,000. We're going to have to, people should not worry about the numbers. We are moving our capacity about to make sure that we go through them and provide feedback to each and every one of these ideas, whether they make it across the line or not. But this is exciting stuff. Young people are really hungry for enterprise, for entrepreneurship. Maybe these are the figures from last time in terms of the distribution, so I'll skip those ones very briefly. But the ideas are right now at 3,200. Maybe just to mention that we have thematic sessions coming up. Today is manufacturing. This date, of course, has to change because it's going to be Eid. But next is minerals and renewable, smart cities, and STEM, and then the thematic sessions will start after that. Just to thank once again our panelists for pivoting at a very short notice to join us and supporting our partners who are listed at the bottom there, especially Paula Mugisa from TESA Advisory Services, who has been helping us put some of these panels together. And of course, the UNDP Accelerator Lab team for your never-ending support, not just from a financial point of view, but you've been really working with us in tandem, and we're discovering quite a number of interesting things and new ways of working together. So for that, we're very grateful for your support. And of course, our resident representative, whose passion for enterprise, entrepreneurship, young people, women, rural folks living in the rural, it's because of her that we're really doing this kind of stuff. So the whole UNDP team from NASE would like to say thank you very much. And I'd like to hand over back to Ben, maybe just for the benefit of the participants. We are now going to be available in the background to answer some of the questions. Use the Q&A section. We will respond to some of those questions. Use the chat facility to talk amongst each other, to make comments once maybe something that is important that relates to you has been talked about. Let's make this as interactive. I know people keep saying manufacturing is not cool. I think we figured out when we're doing the agriculture panel that actually some of these topics can be very cool indeed. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the panelists have to say. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Dennis, for that lovely introduction. Of course, again, as we get started, just to reiterate what Dennis has said, over the next hour and 40 minutes or so, what's going to be happening is that we will ask you if you have any questions from for our panelists to share them in the Q&A section, and they will go through some of those even during the discussion, but also later on, because we've noticed that, for example, our session is supposed to be 2 hours long, but we usually get to the 2-hour mark when there's still so much stuff to go through. So what we normally do is that Dennis will stay behind to try and answer any questions that you might have specifically about the ideathon, but also our panelists who are able to, we allow them to stay behind so they can be able to take part in that discussion and help answer your questions, right? So now, as we get started, as always, we like to check in with everybody to know where you are. We know we have some people following us on social media, but here on the Zoom, just to take note of your presence and to know where you are, if you could kindly type in the chat where you are and what you do, so we can just sort of gauge who is with us on the session this morning. So please quickly go to your chat and tell us where you are and what you do. We've got an innovator, Martin, you're in Bogolobi. Thanks a lot, it's good to see you. Robert, you're in Chitenda. Oh no, Chitenda is your name. Oh, I know Robert at Movid, good to see you. Shem, you're an architectural visual artist. Where are you? Good to see you. Edgar is in Rubaga, you're welcome. Tom in Bokassa, Huda in Mukono, thanks a lot for joining us. Ivan Taewa is in Makerere. Gerald Nankunda is in Mitoma. My wife comes from Mitoma. Good to see you. Say hello to my in-laws there. I think they are there at the moment. Moses Moau, Andrew Kahwa at the Uganda Cancer Institute. Good to see you. Augustine, you're in Namugongo. Muhammad is in Lubaga. All over the place. Busheni, Charlotte, Ainamkama. Good to see you as well. Someone is here in Kolambiro. This is Conrad. Someone is in Amuru. Rose Moyo, good to see you. Innocent in Mbarara. Again, as you can imagine, one of the reasons I like to do this is to show you just how diverse the ideathon is and why we are trying to go across the entire country. I've got Carol in the UK, in Cambridge. How's it going, Mike? Yeah. My accent is horrible. Lawrence Kasaga, good to see you. Bridget in Kabalore, amazing to see all of you, not only here across Uganda, but around the globe as well. And we look forward to hearing all your ideas, and please do stay in touch. Now, as you can imagine, COVID-19 had a terrible impact on economies around the world, and Uganda wasn't left out of this mix. And I want to start by asking our panelists to tell us a little bit about how COVID has affected manufacturing in particular. I'll start by introducing Daniel Birungi, who is the Executive Director at the Uganda Manufacturers Association. And this is the body, of course, that brings all the manufacturers in Uganda together. You know them mostly for the trade fair that happens every October, I think it is. That's what they're mostly famous for, but behind the scenes, they're doing a lot more stuff. with manufacturing. So Daniel, it's good to see you. We'll start with you and then go around the rest of the panel. If you can kindly give us a brief overview of how badly COVID-19 has affected manufacturing in Uganda and affected your members. You're welcome, and it's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Ben, and thanks for having us. And first off, thanks to NASE for organizing this. We are proud and happy to be part of it. One is to disabuse anyone of the idea that manufacturing is not cool. If anything, it's the coolest area of practice that we've had through these ideathons, and you will see why in my as we speak later. Back to your question, how has COVID-19 affected manufacturing? Quite a bit. We are seeing that because of COVID-19, there is a lot of readjustment that manufacturers have had to make within their production processes as a result of disruptions to supply chains, as a result of disruptions to regular manufacturing production processes. As you all know, COVID-19 is a kind of contact disease. It's a pandemic that spread through contact. And manufacturing by nature, the factory floor, is a heavily contact related area. And so we are having a lot of realignments within the factory flow, within the production flow to make sure that this contact is limited as far as it's practicable, but also that where there is contact, that there is regular wipe downs of machinery to facilitate ease of working without fear for the employees in these factories. Several of our members have had to embed their workers within their factory premises in order to stop the possibility of picking the virus along the way to home and back. And this, of course, has come at great cost, because you would imagine transiting a factory into a place of accommodation, the logistics that go along with it, the securities that have to be taken into consideration, the fact that of course you can't have male and female employees mixing, and all those related aspects have created a new kind of approach to manufacturing that was previously unknown. Relatedly, supply chains have been heavily disrupted because, as you know, several of our manufacturers import a section of their raw materials from outside the country. And because of the disruptions in supply chains, you would find that, for example, during the first phase, the first wave of the pandemic, China was under lockdown. And this is one of the major suppliers. So a lot of our manufacturers had then to pivot and try to identify new sources of raw materials. They had to figure out how to build resilience into their supply chains, either through multi-sourcing, moving away from the single sourcing initiatives that they had before. But downstream, there was also discussions around how do you get closer to the customer in an era when the middleman is not available to help you transit your product to the customer. So because of that, there's also been a change to focus on B2C rather than B2B sales, because suddenly you have to reduce the gap between yourself and your customer, because then you will be able to make some sense of sales within this difficult period. Beyond that, there's also the aspect of vaccination, that one of the things that we are pushing as a manufacturer association is also to see how do we ensure that, given that manufacturing is an essential service, there is a move to vaccinate as many people within the manufacturing sector as possible, because that then reduces the risk of the pandemic breaking out in a factory, because once it does, of course, the impact is that given the numbers of people that work in these factories, there's a possibility that this could then grow, it could snowball into something a lot bigger that we would like to avoid. So there's also that aspect. In an era of low access to vaccines, what do we do as manufacturers to address these disruptions? Then lastly, of course, is that because of the pandemic, there's been a move to now focus on products that previously were not on our radar. The biggest example, of course, that you all know is the issue of hand sanitizers. Before the pandemic, I think we had 1 or 2 manufacturers of sanitizer. Today, we are pushing 60 manufacturers of this product. This is the same case for PPEs, masks, We have face masks manufactured here. We have other items of PPE that are manufactured here. We're having innovations around face shields and related items, locally made ventilators. And that could be said to be the bright bit that has come out of the pandemic, that suddenly we have realized that there are capacities that are latent within our manufacturing sector that were previously not being tapped. And now we can quickly get this on board, because suddenly when you cannot get some of these items from outside the country, you're forced to find a solution locally. I'll stop there for now.
Thank you very much, Daniel. That's some very, very good insight and background. Let me go around the panel and bring in my very good friend, Dr. Maggie Chigozie, who has had very many hats over the years as an ED at Uganda Investment Authority. She's a manufacturer herself. She's a farmer. My favorite title for her is Eternal Optimist, because she always sees the best in every situation. And I can imagine even during the COVID-19 pandemic, she probably has a look at the silver linings for the manufacturers. Welcome, Dr. Maggie. Good morning to you. From your perspective, how bad has COVID-19 been for the manufacturers from your perspective?
Thank you very much, Ben. And yes, the eternal optimist is this time challenged. It's very difficult to be optimistic about COVID-19. There's so much lack of knowledge of what's happening, what's coming next, that, you know, as a shareholder and a manufacturer, it is really difficult to plan. I think that has been the biggest challenge. Daniel has gone through many of the areas that I had looked to talk about, but the plans, let's start with the board. Very, very difficult. We have our plans, we're going to do this, and all of a sudden you're in lockdown. People are fired, they don't have money to buy, markets are closed. So that has been a big problem. Luckily, I think that is mainly in the central here. We have found up country, our markets are almost as normal. People are buying and drinking. Your favor, I don't know who even thought, I think that was just Ben being negative. And manufacturing was not cool. Manufacturing is really cool. Can you imagine my feeling when I walk into an event and everybody's holding a Mirinda Orange, is holding a Mountain Dew? You know, I just know, okay, I'm giving them pleasure. So it is absolutely very, very cool. The second one, there are some sectors that were definitely on the deathbed if they didn't look at diversifying. In fashion, for example, why would I buy a new dress when there are no discos? There's nowhere to wear them. Shoes, why would I buy new shoes? You know, I can't even go to the office. I'm here in well, I won't tell you what I'm wearing, but I'm here. So some sectors were definitely badly affected. Agriculture produce, I produce eggs, and they're mainly taken to Kenya. So with all the troubles with the truck drivers and, you know, vaccinations at the border posts, this has not been possible. So the prices have really gone down. But otherwise, agribusiness is good. The prices are low, yes, but people still eat. They still want to eat. And even when they cannot afford it, they still try. So from the agriculture sector, we have continued to produce and we are supplying. The quantities are not so much that we are able to produce. People will not buy it. Today, we were happy last week. We produced more coffee. We sold more coffee than ever before during COVID. So there are advantages that some people are benefiting for. Daniel told you what we did with the workers. We changed our indoor parking into a kind of a dormitory with facilities and everything. And, you know, we could not transport our workers because we are not looked at as essential services. We are not given enough, you know, permissions to allow us to drop and pick our workers. So, and also the workers live in every part of the country, so it's really difficult. So we are accommodating them at the factory, and this one really brings out what has come out in COVID that is very positive is you are partners. You are partners with your team. You are partners with your distributor, and you work out things together and find solutions. So that has really been good in that we are now, our workers really are determined their company is not going to close. It's not about the shareholders, whoever, it's them themselves that are pushing this. And that is a new thing that has come up, and we appreciate this. Logistics to market, yes, you heard that already from Daniel, but new opportunities, more use of ICT. A lot of our admin staff, even as manufacturers, are able to work at home. So they have their laptops and they're working at home. But of course, production is a hands-on thing generally. There's very little that you can transfer to online. And so that has been challenging more for the manufacturers, bankers and others. You can work home, and therefore SOPs have been challenging. How do you distance? And yet we found solutions, but it has not been easy. Opportunities have come for the young people that are listening to us now. As opportunities, you are experts on ICT. We now need a workforce that's truly, truly on top of all the IT solutions that can make business, manufacturing easier. There are opportunities for software. We need your softwares, hardware, training. We need training for our staff. They need to be retooled to be able to work differently. Issues of transport, again, with the limited number of permissions to use your own trucks, we have had to be innovative there. So consultants, we need consultants for human resource, for what equipment, how can we get better, more modern equipment? We were lucky to be putting up a new factory. So we were able to now really bring in state-of-the-art technology and trading online. How do we get our product to market, to that C that Daniel was talking about? And there again, we've had to innovate, but without depressing quality. And also, yeah. So I think I'll stop there. For us as manufacturers, I have many things on the agriculture sector, but we are not talking agriculture today. How we went around it. Of course, manufacturing is one step in the value chain of agriculture. Agro-processing is key, and it's Uganda's priority. That's what we want you as young people to look at. What among the things we produce as farmers, 80% of Ugandans are farmers, they're producing something. Could you please consider adding value? So that bit is missing. We have the exporter, we have the farmer, more value add. That's what the government would like to see. That's what every Ugandan would like to see. And manufacturers create more jobs, create good paying jobs. So let us make sure we increase manufacturing. Thank you very much, Dennis. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maggie. And that's a great insight. Of course, we are looking to you to share some of the ideas that you see where our people can be able to, our young people can be able to take advantage of this, especially in the context of what's going on. I will be coming back to you, Daniel, to give some insights in terms of the room for growth that there is with manufacturing, because there seems to be quite a lot of room for growth in terms of where manufacturing should be for us as an economy and where it is at the moment, which I guess provides opportunities. We were having a discussion last week on World Youth Skills Day with Dennis and the guys from the UNDP and Jumia. The Jumia country manager was telling us about a project that they've been doing with the UNDP where a woman in Karagwe market is able to sell her tomatoes online. Can you imagine that? Who would have thought that, 5-10 years ago, that someone in the market would sell her onions online? And so there definitely is a lot of room for improvement and innovation and all of these things. Let me first check in with Robert Chitenda, who is representing Movit Products. Of course, you've already heard what Dr. Maggie has said, as well as Daniel. From your perspective, Robert, at Movit, how has COVID-19 affected your operations? As you've heard Dr. Maggie say, you're heavily involved in distribution. So I'm assuming that it's created some challenges for you. What have those been during this COVID-19 pandemic? And welcome.
Thank you very much. It's very hard to follow through after Dr. Maggie has spoken, and then also very well detailed from Uma, who happen to be our bosses, and they understand our problems and issues much better. So just to again give a snippet, looking at it now from the angle of our business. Again, I'm Chitenda Robert, and I'm the head of marketing, Movit Products Limited. Yes, so how on our end, the effect, just like any other business, has really been massive in terms of change in thinking, change in operations. I hinted on a few things here that have already been discussed, but when you talk production, you're talking about the fact that your costs are increasing very much because the numbers of people that you can house in those arrangements that have been talked about by Dr. Maggie, the numbers are limited. So that means that your numbers of production are drastically going down, and that is automatically increasing your costs. The distances, yes, we could not be able to have all our key staff on site, even with some access to permits. We are not able to get all the key people. So still you're having a few struggles here and there in terms of even making sure that the operations keep up above expectation. The supply of inputs has been very critical also, because we are a business, when you talk about personal care, we are businesses that probably import about 80% of our inputs. And when you do that, you're going to get into a situation where transportation has been hit, containers are now a problem all across the world. Our costs of transportation are increasing probably by 50%. So all these intricacies in the supply of inputs is also hitting us very hard. Then I also looked into the uncertainty it comes with. I think it's a doctor who has well detailed this. The uncertainty in regards to what is happening next, because we have even seen that companies now have moved away from our normal 1 year, 2 year plans, and it's more now you're planning for scenarios. You're planning for what happens after the lockdown. We are now looking at scenario planning. What happens if these two, if the lockdown is extended? What does that mean to my operations? I can't plan till end of year. I am actually planning for the next day, for the next week, when if I can do 2 months, that is even a good picture. So that is not good for any business, and that means you're going to struggle through that. Distribution, for us, we are a business that is obviously heavily driven on the marketing side, and then the route to market, which is our distribution, taking our products all across to the 8 African markets where we have presence, because everything is done here. We are fully based in Uganda. So the challenges that are into the transportation, the logistics, the delays at the border points because of the processes that are important to execute, the challenges are also a lot, and that also trickles down to our number. Because at the end of the day, we are not able to sell as much because of the situation that is there. However, as Dr. as well noted that in some parts of the country, I could also be comfortable to say that outside Kampala, the situation is almost normal. So ladies still want to look good. They still, are willing to spend that much on themselves, and we appreciate that. So it's only really a heavy hit when it comes to the cities where people are now concerned. They spend less time in the outlets. They spend way limited time even in the supermarkets. So they cannot be able to spend as much. But even when you look at it on the flip side, they don't even have what to spend because of the increase in the standards of living around Kampala. But outside Uganda, other than the logistical challenges, at least you're able to sell, because in some markets, COVID is not yet felt. Markets like Burundi, which probably are not doing anything around the situation. Tanzania, which for the longest time has been open to operations, apart from recently. Kenya, yes, lockdowns being lifted and being released. I think most recently now they are able to operate fully. So Outside Uganda as well, we are trying to push on, but obviously all this comes back to production, which is the heart of manufacturing, and that is where we are hit most with all the costs of inputs going up. So what has this taught us as I close in? First, as I've talked about scenario planning, I think for any manufacturer, you need to think about scenario planning now. It can't be your holistic 5-year plan. That I think has gone out of the window. You need to think about what is happening in the next few months. Probably you're looking at the quarter ahead. Adoption of systems. Ugandans, I think we are not very fast to adopt ICT systems, and I think it's general across businesses. However, when we get into a situation where it's a do or die, I think people pick things better. So for us in regards to systems adoption in terms of ICT, we've seen a spike in terms of utilization and adoption coming from this period, because if it's Salesforce automation, people are all now going to use it. If it's the systems, the ERPs and all that we use internally, people are picking them up faster because there is no option. Then lastly is also e-commerce. E-commerce has been a good one for us. I think Ben has just talked about Jumia, and this is the same for us. We are seeing, double, triple growth on our sales on all these e-commerce platforms, because people are now actually shifting to consider them as a real channel where they can access products. So we are also harnessing this, partnering with these different platforms to see that we keep growing even with all those challenges that have been highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. I'll be coming to you, Daniel, in a little bit to give us an overview of where manufacturing lies in terms of the economy, because from this point on, of course, we want to be looking at what opportunities there are for our young people to get into this space. Lots of questions, of course, regarding things like how do you start? Manufacturing is usually capital intensive. I'm just a young person coming out of the university. If you can just give us a quick overview of the background of manufacturing in Uganda in terms of what room there is for growth. But before you do that, let's check in with Moses Sebale, who is health and safety. He has a very long title. Allow me to first read it properly. He is the Health and Safety, Environment and Quality Assurance Manager for Coca-Cola Beverages Africa. Mr. Sebale, how do you even introduce yourself to people? Do you have like a short form for your title or something? But good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hope Namave is okay. If you can tell us, Moses, very briefly, how's COVID-19 been like for you, especially in terms of managing your processes, in terms of managing your people? You've got a very high number of casual people that I don't know how are you managing to keep all of them at the factory? Are they having to commute? I don't know. You tell us. What's that been like for you guys?
Thanks very much, Ben. Sometimes people make a lot of joke around the title that I have the longest title. But to cut it short, it's called the Sheikh Manager. Sheikh incorporates health and safety, then quality and environment in that regard. So that's the short form. However, how COVID has impacted us, if I look at Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, really the impact has come with both the negative and the positive. Of course, when you look at the number of headcount, we have quite a huge, but we first scaled down. We came up with the decongestion plan on how can we optimize operations with limited workforce, and who are those people who can work from home. So basically, when you look at when the lockdown came through, the route to market was affected. Movement to the market was a bit constrained. Some of the outlets were closed at a point. So you find distribution was really being impacted. But of course, still for business continuity, we had to still move on to ensure that yes, our product is available at each outlet. So what we did first was to come up with plans on how people can camp on site. So camping on site is happening. So people who are actively into production, they are 100% staying on site just to ensure that we minimize the risk of exposure to our employees. And it's quite expensive to maintain that. So in terms of cost, labor became also another challenge, because if people are going to work from home, of course, you have to avail some facilities to facilitate them work. to optimize their activities while they are offsite and remain productive. Then costs in terms of PPE, in terms of ensuring they are safe, sanitizers and all that stuff. We had to ensure that all those are put in place. Whatever is needed for all employees, we had to give out to all employees, both direct and indirect. And when I talk of indirect, these are people who support. They are not directly linked to the employment structure of the organization, but they support in terms of moving the company product. So this was rolled out across, giving them masks, sanitizers, also supporting them in terms of livelihood, where the organization facilitated them with a food relief, at least if within, I think they have done right now like 3 rounds so far. So gender, you know, when you introduce people, we encourage both male and female to do the same jobs. So when it came to the camping, we find that getting in the opposite sex, the ladies, became a bit of a challenge because of family. Women were a bit more, we adjust to all situations. So coming up with the way how ladies can be on site was a bit of a hurdle, but we also found a way of how they can also be active in terms of contribution to the organization growth. Then risk management, you know, when you have people on site, people come from different cultures, they have different ideas, they say things differently. Now that organization change in terms of their mindset, how they need to step change everything around, it comes with a lot of sensitization, a lot of information sharing, a lot of engagements, both online and physical where need be, though we minimize so much physical interactions in terms of meetings. That also comes with a cost. Then another impact is around organization initiatives around impacting career growth, impacting how we can support the youth. You know, there are a lot of initiatives like internships, allowing in interns to come through, they learn on job, they expose themselves practically from the theories that they have come from institutions. All these were put on a hold, which is something that is negative. When you look at the how we do things normally, especially the technical side, when we are looking out for opportunities, if we have vacancies, normally we go into our database for people who have worked within us, because they know the organization culture and everything. So whenever we bring in interns, we ensure that we scrutinize them as potential, such that they can be potential employees of the organization. So when that program was put on a standstill, you know, it takes away the opportunity for the candidates from universities to come and learn on job, but at the same time, it limits our workforce, people who can come in, the new talent that needs to come in. Recruitment, unless if it is that a very much critical role, you see all that was also at a point put on hold. So study grants, you know, the education sector, the cycles change. So grants, they are given every year to support employees to go and upgrade in terms of their skills, in terms of their papers. But you know, at a point you have people who are still in the same year, and then another new people are supposed to come in, and you cannot enroll them at once. So you see that also that program was halted. So, but still there are opportunities that came with such. And these opportunities, Dr. Maggie talked about software optimization. I think right now everyone understands when you say, I need to have a meeting. People have been exposed to softwares in terms of having meetings, how they can be productive, even offsite, opportunities to show that actually work can go on even if I'm not physically on site. That is an opportunity that has come with COVID. So working in terms of management, self-management, people can now work under minimum supervision. Okay? Gone are the days when you know that someone to be productive, he has to be on site where it's being supervised. Right now, people can work from home, and now they even become more productive. But it takes out even more some of the costs, like in terms of staff feeding, where people, when they are on site, You have to feed them a laundry of whatever they use. If they're on site, that is taken care of. But when they're at their own home, you take away some of those costs. Staying relevant is another opportunity that came with COVID. In such a situation, some organizations have taken away some of the workforce. But you, as an employee of an organization, how can you stay relevant to the organization? And this has made people to think, to challenge the status quo, to innovate. We have seen a lot of changes in terms of product portfolio, where we're bringing in now local products using local materials. People are innovating every day. Sanitizer, like one of the panels said, a few companies were doing. I think if I caught you right, you said the two are doing sanitizer. Right now, Coca-Cola Beverages Africa will make sanitizer that is certified by UNDP, and it is on the market. That is all innovation that came with how can you stay relevant. So masks, sanitizer, liquid soap, people have innovated in all sectors to add onto their product portfolio. So NPD, new product development, that's an opportunity. Gone are the days where we are relying 100% on two imports. Right now, people are focusing on what do people need at this point in time. What is that one product that everyone needs? Is it water? Can we scale the volume? Is it natural juices? Because people are moving into healthier living. So in terms of product development, COVID has opened people's minds to innovate in terms of new product development, to come up with products that are fit for purpose. Route to market, Dr. Maggie talked about people going into online marketing. That is another opportunity, okay, that has come up. Right now, we are scavenging onto those online platforms to ensure that we move a product than the physical distribution of products. So people can make orders and these orders can be delivered. That is also another positive that came with COVID-19. Knowledge boost. As I'm winding up, knowledge boost. People have gotten time to read online, to be engaged into courses. We have enrolled them onto platforms to learn more and more every day. Health and wellness. People have time now to exercise from home. Okay, instead of coming to work early enough to beat the jam, you find someone jogging early in the morning to ensure that they maintain, they keep that physical fitness. So all these in brief are opportunities and also challenges that have come with COVID-19. Thanks, Ben. Over to you.
Thank you, Moses. It's very interesting what you mentioned there, because usually when you think about manufacturing, a lot of people will probably be thinking about it from an entrepreneurial perspective. But one of the big things is that manufacturing creates an opportunity for creation of employment as well. I mean, if you don't mind me asking you, how long have you been at CCBA?
10 years and 3 months.
How old were you when you joined?
I was immediately from campus in Treasury. I was around 22 years.
Exactly my point was, and here you are now. And I guess the whole point of that is to show our young people that whether it is being a manufacturer yourself or becoming a chic, I think as you called it, the short form of your title, as you said, there's definitely a lot of opportunities. So thanks a lot, Moses. Now, Daniel, I want to come to you briefly, and then we'll go to Dr. Maggie and the rest of the panel so we can start the Q&A session, because we have a lot of questions coming in for you guys, and I want us to get through those. And there's some very, very powerful and important questions too, so we're going to get to those. But Daniel, for you to lay the foundation in terms of the bigger picture, the macro picture in terms of opportunities in manufacturing. If I'm not mistaken, manufacturing at the moment, have we cracked 15% yet in terms of contribution to GDP as manufacturing? And if not, where are we? Where should we be? And what does that mean in terms of presenting opportunities for our young people? And then we'll get into our Q&A section.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben. Manufacturing is pushing close to 18%. I'll check and then get the correct detail to you. But certainly that's not adequate, because we need to be pushing closer to 30% for us to speak of having an effect, a positive effect on the economy. As it stands now, The challenges still remain quite a number. I won't delve into those, but to the aspect of opportunities, I think the opportunities, the first opportunity is in young people not treating manufacturing as a rocket science. Anything that involves value addition can be manufacturing. And if you actually speak to an average manufacturer, they will tell you that the first decision they had to make was the decision to start. Because we can have all these good ideas on paper, but as long as you haven't tried it out, as long as you haven't tested it out in the market, it's all going to stay just that, an idea. So the first step is get out there, start doing something. I know people who a year ago were in employment, but during the COVID period have started out some small enterprises. Some are doing potato crisps and supplying them to the supermarkets near their locations. Some are doing beverages and supplying them to nearby locations. And because of this, they are now able to access the other aspects.
Daniel, we seem to have lost you there for a moment. We'll wait for you to come back in a bit. There you are. Sorry, we had lost you for just a moment. Please go ahead.
Oh, apologies. Okay, just to skip back a little, it's just to say that my main point earlier was to say start. Start where you are, start with what you have, and then grow it as you learn it. Because if you wait for the perfect business plan, if you wait for the perfect market, it does not exist. What exists is what you have right now. And I was giving an example of the people who started a year ago during COVID and are doing potato crisps and are now supplying a lot of the major supermarkets we have here. The people who started a year ago, there's someone on the platform right now who has indicated that they started packaging monanasi, which they were making themselves. And right now they're looking for seed funding to grow the business even further because they see the opportunity. And there are so many pockets of opportunity out there. What it requires is to start. So that's the first step. The second step is educate yourself about the opportunities available, educate yourself about the sectors that you want to get into. We have so many pieces of information that are out there. If you go to YouTube today and search how to, and finish that sentence with whatever you want to do, how to make honey, how to process potato crisps, how to process whatever it is, you're going to find all kinds of videos around how to do it. And that's a start. You can use this information. We are privileged by the fact that you're on this Zoom call today. You're privileged that you have access to internet. So use it to build your capacity. The third thing is reach out to organized groups that can then link you to manufacturers in the sectors that you're interested in. I don't know how many people we've taken to factories for them to just get an overview of what a factory looks like. What does the production process look like? Because as you start small, I'm getting for every one of us, the aim is to grow big. Now, if you want to grow big, then you have to understand what does it take to become a Pepsi? What does it take to grow to the level of Pepsi today? And Pepsi is always willing to provide factory tours for people who are interested, and so many other manufacturers are. That's what you have to do is reach out and then take opportunity of this. Then number 4 is participate in initiatives like NASE, initiatives like Ready to Work. We have a project under UMA called Ready to Work, where we provide 3 months internships in factories. You actually get to get in there and appreciate what's going on within the factory setting. And I believe that this can be an opportunity for you to understand what is going on in there. Then lastly, get an understanding of what's trending worldwide. Because as you prepare yourself for the market, in the event that you want to get into the job market, because there's also, we have to be mindful that there are those who are not interested in starting something, but want to contribute to the current job market as is. Look out for what is trending internationally. What are the trends that are coming up? Companies are talking about building resilience. And they're looking at employee health and safety. You've heard us talk about it. They're talking about disintermediation. How do you move the product closer to the customer? They're talking about servitization. How do you move your product to stop being a product and become a service? Because then more people are coming in to make use of these. Supply chain resilience. How do we source more raw materials from different people? Smarter manufacturing. You're young people. You have access to technology. AI, artificial intelligence, robotics are key elements that are coming up. Deep learning technologies. If we understand this, then you are manufacturing must be able to have an international mindset. International markets as well. Look at the African Continental Free Trade Area and COMESA. What opportunities do they provide? If you can understand this, then you're well on your way to being an effective manufacturer.
Oh, wow. Daniel, there's just so much to unpack from all the stuff that you're saying. I should remind everyone who's joining us that we actually will make sure these recordings are available online. And all you need to do is simply go to undp.nase.co.ug. That is undp.nase.co.ug. And you can get access to this recording so you can internalize everything that our panel are saying. Dr. Maggie, let me start with you. One of the big questions that's coming out is the issue of capital, because we all know that to start manufacturing, you need some money, right? The question is, where do you even begin to start looking for this money? And the questions that are coming in that direction are, how hard or how easy is it to get capital post-COVID? Daniel did reference that question from Dennis Ashawa, who is asking about trying to get capital because he started doing his production and packaging, but doesn't know where to find money. So if you were to advise our young people, Dr. Maggie, in terms of how to raise the sort of money that they need to get their ideas from the manufacturing perspective going, what would you tell them to do? Where do they start?
Okay, thank you very much. Can I be allowed to switch on my video? I think somebody is taking it over. Yes, money. I think just to touch on what, as the investment promoter for 12 years, on what Daniel has just to add on to going to Google, there are a number of local agencies, both government and private sector, that I would encourage you youth, young entrepreneurs, as you are planning to start or you've started, go and get their support. They were put in place for you. There's the Uganda Investment Authority. They have hundreds of investment opportunities and project profiles. So sorry. And they worked with UNDP to actually identify opportunities also in all the districts. So it's actually countrywide. Thank you very much, UNDP, for supporting UIA to be able to do this. Then we have, Enterprise Uganda to train you. There are lots of training institutions like, MOOBs and so many others. We made sure that that is able to happen. Industrial parks are being put in place. You want to start, look for them. Government's planning put 25 parks. You need a piece of land to try that, look at it. Incubation centers are around, okay? And then the private sector. Daniel's heading manufacturing, but they're also the farmers, PSFU overall. And then skilling, can you skill yourself? Yes, again, on Google, you find a lot of information on the skill you need for the particular business you want to do, but they're also available. There's training and skilling, everywhere for you. Financing is a challenge, yes. And you are all going to tell us, I have no money, how can I start a business? We really want to show you people, look around. They all started with nothing. So start small, start small. But the best money, if you have a relative, a father, a brother who is working and can give you something, family money that you really don't need to give back. If you have a job already, are you saving? Save a bit. That is money that nobody will come after you if you cannot pay it back urgently. Those are the the best money, family money, your own savings. But I know a lot of you are going to say, no, I have never got a job, I'm unemployed, and I'm starting from zero. So start small and grow. That is also possible. Then the other, today we are here at the Ideathon. I see 100 million shillings ready to be shared. I think Dennis knows more about that than I do, but I can see it. So some of you will be able to benefit from that if you have good ideas and you have the ability to communicate and pitch them and show that you are innovating. I think you'll be able to win some of that. Otherwise, the banks, first of all, have you got a bank? Have you been banking? They need to see you. They have known you for a number of years and you've been a good customer. But if you're just opening your bank account, I would not go to a bank for a totally new business and I am just starting. There are areas like SACCOs, work together with a group of a team. Partnerships, Ugandans always, we tried so hard when we were at the UIA to get people to partner one another, but it seems to be something that's maybe not in our culture. Maybe it's the past that affected us. I think me and my two partners, we're 27 years old now and, doing well, growing. We haven't cheated one another. We are working together and we bring in different ideas. One of my partners is very entrepreneurial. You all know Amos Nzei. Chris is very, very careful. So that's a very good thing to have, And then I sort of am somewhere in the middle and we move on well and we're expanding and growing. So partnerships, your schoolmates, your friends at uni, your sports friends, you can partner with other people, bring in some money, you bring in some, and our business is running. The other thing that has failed so many partnerships is the expectations. When you start a business, it's hard work at the beginning. You don't make any money. We did not make any money for at least 10, 15 years because all the time, my friend there who's Sheikh was bringing in new machines. So we needed to bring in new machines. The competition keeps on pushing you. So yes, don't expect to get rich overnight. The young people don't seem to have patience. You don't have patience. Your business will succeed. You'll drive the Benz you want, but not today, not tomorrow, not even next year, but in some years ahead. So work like that, and you'll be able to succeed. Once your business is running, then the bankers will seriously look at you, and they'll be interested to fund you. Thank you, Ben. I think that's all I had to say about finance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maggie. I have a lot of other questions for you, but I will come to those in a bit, including how we can help, especially young girls, young women, to get into this space. Usually people think about manufacturing being a dirty thing for the men to deal with, but you've hacked that. So I'll give you a chance to come to that in a little bit. Let me come back to you, Daniel, for a moment, and then we'll go to Moses and Robert first. Daniel, there's a very important point raised by Yvonne here. About the fact that, and I think you and Moses can both deal with this, our youth not being given the sort of skills that they need. We talked about this whole thing about, we are talking about an ideathon today, people to bring their ideas to life. But if you can kindly emphasize this point of the fact that you don't necessarily have to be a manufacturer, that you can start out as being employed in manufacturing like Moses is. Yvonne shared a very interesting statistic here. About more than 25% of our current skilled manufacturing workers will be retiring in the next 3 years. As you can imagine, most of these factories, and I think Dr. Maggie will also know this, you usually have the same people doing the same jobs for a very long time in the factory. At some point, they've got to go away or grow into other things and do their own stuff. But you don't seem to have enough people training themselves to take up these positions. So Daniel first, and then Moses. How do we encourage our young people to position themselves to be able to take up these roles, if not for anything else, as a starting point for their sort of journey into manufacturing, for them to go and work for Coca-Cola and Pepsi and learn, for them to work for Movit and learn how these processes work before they can go and do their own thing?
Okay, thank you, Ben. First of all, I think it's for young people to appreciate that at the end of the day, manufacturing mostly requires technical expertise and not necessarily book smarts. We've seen a lot of focus on the degree, the master's degree, But at the end of the day, how does that translate into your ability to actually contribute in a manufacturing environment? I'll give you an example of two kinds of employees who are in urgent need within manufacturers. One is industrial grade welders, certified welders. They are not enough in this country. We need them in manufacturing. They are needed in the oil and gas sector as well. But the average young person will look at welding as, not something cool, not something they would like to get into. And yet this is something that is quite attractive and pays quite well. The second one is the people who rewind motors. When the motors are dead, they are pulled apart and there is work around putting them back together because there are so many of these that fail within factories. But finding the people to do it is nearly impossible. So it's about identifying what are those skills that are required. As a manufacturer association, what we've done is we've worked with the National Curriculum Development Center, as well as the National Council for Higher Education. And working with them and the Ministry of Education, we've designated centers of excellence for manufacturing. One of them is UTC Bushenyi, because we are feeding them with the information on the requirements of manufacturing so that people can go and get educated on the skills that are actually required rather than get educated on skills that are not. The second one I mentioned earlier is the issue of internships. We have internships running. They are paid internships. They pay for a small stipend to enable you actually get to work and live. It's one way to understand what's going on in a factory setting. If you're interested in Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola is looking for someone of your stature, come to us. If you're interested in Pepsi and Pepsi is looking for someone like you, come to us. And we can link you to these factories so that you can understand what goes on in there, at the same time contribute. Because of this, you'll be able to understand the requirements. The third is through incubation centers. We have Stanbic. Stanbic runs a very big incubator, the Stanbic Business Incubator, where they can assist young people who are interested in picking up skills that are required in certain sectors. But the Uganda Industrial Research Institute goes a step further because it also provides you an opportunity to use their facilities to produce your product as you figure out what it takes to make it better. If you use these, then you're able to put in place the skills that you require. You're then able to easily transit into the manufacturing sector. Lastly, of course, is educate yourself. Educate yourself of what's trending internationally. Because if you know that data analytics is a key competitive factor for international manufacturers, then you know for certain that even if at the moment manufacturers in Uganda may not be looking at it quite critically, along the way, a year or so, data analytics is going to be the biggest thing in this economy because everyone wants to know, how do I move a step further than my competitor? Manufacturers are no longer competing on products because everyone has a quality product. The question then becomes, how do you tweak your supply chain to make sure that you're getting the best out of each element? This brings into the case of analyzing your supply chain, making your machines digitized so that you know when a machine is going to fail. You don't wait for it to fail before you call in a technician, because that is lost time. Now, the people who are skilled to this end are then the people who are going to be able to transit into manufacturing quite easily. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Mr. Virunji. By the way, you should know, I did some quick checking. The expert welder that you're talking about, which we have a lot of shortages in, will earn up to between 12 and 15 million shillings a month. The people that you're talking about, a person who is really good at welding at that level will earn anywhere between 10, 15 million shillings a month. So you can see the opportunity that there is in that. Moses, very quickly from you on this issue of
yes,
someone being able to try and maybe go and work somewhere like Coca-Cola and get some experience. I know that a lot of the people who have done the job that you're doing have usually gone on to actually start their own businesses afterwards. But how much experience can you say you have gained from being at CCBA for yourself that would help you if you decided to go into manufacturing?
So thanks, Ben. I'll be straight to the point, and this I'm going to speak to the young entrepreneurs who are coming on board. What I always tell people who I interact with is that your first line of employment is an internship. Me, I started working when I was still studying. eh? Just because when I got an opportunity to go for an internship, I blended into the workforce as if I'm part of that organization. When I just joined CCB, we used to bring in people for internship just on a wish, a basis. Who is he? Where is he coming from? Okay, we are going to give these opportunities to this university and this. But when people come on board, hello, Ben, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so when people come on board, you find they come with that mindset. I'm a degree holder. They be on PCs, onto Googling, into what, and they feel they are not supposed to do work like other people. So we change that. As people are coming in for internship, we interview them to ensure that we have the right people who can be potential employees for our organization, people who know what they want. So what I'm talking about that is really critical that people take internship as a priority, because the moment you are introduced into the culture of that organization, you'll feel part of that organization. Pick as much knowledge as possible to keep relevant, so that any opportunity that it knocks, people will always call you out. We always call people who have ever done internship. Are you still open? We have this opportunity, and they come in. Another thing of staying relevant is upskill, adding knowledge to what you know. Yes, you will come from the university with knowledge, but keep learning every day. And this, we have a training program, of course, but you as yourself, there is what we call self-paced learning. Go and look out for information on yourself. Learn more. No university will go to where they teach how to make a Coke. No, they'll give you the basic principles. But when you come in Coke, what opportunities are there for you to grab? What else can you add? Right now, employers are interested on people who are bringing something new. We challenge our employees with innovations. The organization placed there 10,000 US dollars for an idea that can go through to be implemented within employees. Think beyond the box, staying relevant, learning as much as possible. For me, that is critical. And then two, I have worked for CCBA. The information you obtain, what can you do it with? I myself, I saw someone in chat talking about a UNDP certification. I'm a consultant in one. There is a young boy who came up with Avalanche wine, and last Tuesday we are into a certification with UNDP. Someone was talking of something big. These are just the 3 rooms where someone is. Okay? So whatever knowledge you pick up, develop something. Dr. Maggie talked about saving. Learn, because you are coming into a multinational where things are streamlined, there are systems. As you're bringing in ideas, also learn on how they are running the business. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Scavenge on the same principles these people are using. Add them to what you're doing, you as an entrepreneur, okay? And ensure that you drive your own business there. As we're into this manufacture, we are also manufacturers. We have our own businesses that we are doing, but it is coming from our hard and savings, but also using the knowledge that we have picked from these organizations to implement them into our own. So as you're there, don't be drained with what you have. Also learn, because they have mastered the game. Operations may not have money for automation, but as I'm concluding, staying relevant, learning as much as possible, challenging your status quo. How can I do different? This. An innovation is not something big where you come up with a new product. No, it can be an idea. It can be something that saves the cost. It can be something that reduces the time on how things are being done. But people will see you through when you present yourself into the spotlight. So you are not going to sit behind and you think Coca-Cola will see you on how to do something. There is a product where developing under Bubu, where they picked someone to come and spearhead into that project as a technical person, just because he knew how this product is done locally. The local way of doing it is what made him come into that role, just to add value. So the little you know from out there, try to think around the box. How can I add value into this? You talked of Monana, These are products that manufacturers are looking out for right now to drive the BUBU initiatives, using readily available materials around us to come up with superior and quality products that people need as of now. So that's what I urge the young entrepreneurs. Make yourself relevant, position yourself into the right places, into the spotlight for people to identify what you have to offer, and indeed you'll come through. Thanks, Ben.
Wow, that's very, very inspirational, Moses. Thank you so much. Let me come to you, Robert, Mr. Stand at Movit. There's a lot of questions from young people saying, look, we do product, we started doing some things, but getting them into the market seems to be a big challenge because we don't have money to do marketing. What advice would you give to someone who has started manufacturing, needs to get their product out there, but of course, as you can imagine, marketing usually is very expensive. How do they go about trying to get this product into people's faces and more popular? What would be the best advice to give to them?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Ben. That question is not only trouble that young people starting out go through. It is actually a general problem where everyone starting out a business, coming up with an idea. The next thing is, how am I going to deal with the marketing costs? Because for the companies that have managed to do it well, talk the Coca-Colas, the Pepsis, the Movits of this world, they are investing tons of money. So how do I reach out and create a market with very limited resources? The best advice that I can give the young people is we need to start appreciating how far a quality product goes. First of all, as you initiate your market, your best ally is that consumer that has managed to test what you do. Whatever service it is, whatever product it is, you need to make sure you're delivering on the promise. If you've decided to make liquid soap, it has to deliver on the promise for the first customers who you've managed to convince. And when these customers buy you, ensure that they are able to buy you the next time. And that is only going to happen when your product offers the promise that you promise, that you put out there for the customers. We usually call that a unique selling proposition. What is that one thing that your product does that they may not be able to get from another? Because in Uganda, in Africa, people actually purchase more basing on the knowledge they have had from the communities they interact with, the known by many, the third-party endorsement, you know. I was using this and now please try it. The information gotten from such circles is actually more important than the advertising you see on TV. So usually when you concentrate on making a quality product for now and interacting with those customers to make sure you know the feedback that they are giving on that product. And if it's an improvement, you make it, because your best ally is the consumer you've sold to. And those are the guys who are going to reach out and even ask supermarkets that, for me, I need this exact crisp. I need this cake because I tested it in the other, from the other outlet, and they are now going to buy you. So your best ally is the consumer, is the person taking on your service or taking on your product. Please ensure that you engage them, interact with them, listen to them, pick feedback from them. We now have social media. Social media doesn't take money to establish. Start out even when you have 5 likes, when you have 5 followers. Please go ahead and start out, and I promise you, you're going to be able to grow your audience. Social media is one as well that gives you the opportunity to engage your consumers, listen to them, listen to feedback, be convenient. If you're making a product, how can you even deliver when someone sends you a message online? Because it is for you, your edge is going to be your interaction with that initial consumer you've had. That is your edge, and that is how you're going to get money to later be able to hit out with these 360 marketing campaigns. I think from my end, that is the best advice that I'd give the young people out there.
And it's very, very good advice too. Hopefully they're able to take that in. Let me come to you, Dr. Maki, and then we'll come back to Daniel. Daniel, there's a lot of questions for you about processes and systems and how UMA can be able to help, but I'll come to you in a bit. Let me start with Dr. Maki. if you were to go back and tell your beautiful 20-year-old self things that you have learned now, which our young people can pick up from, what would those be? But also combined with that, the issue of our young women, our young ladies who seem to think that this sort of manufacturing thing is mostly for the men and maybe they ignore it. What advice would you give to your younger self, but also what would you tell to our young ladies today, which I'm sure you're very, very passionate about?
Oh, I love young ladies. My younger self, first of all, I would say choose the subject you want to do at university. What is it that you want to learn? Because mine was chosen by my dad. My dad wanted a doctor in the family, and here I am. So I would encourage the young people, if you really have a passion for something, some of them don't know, they're still very young. So if that's the case, there's no harm you becoming a doctor. It's a great thing. But you could choose what you want to do. But if you have already done something, you can change along the way. I have been a doctor. I have been an entrepreneur. I have been a government official at the UIA. I am now a farmer. And yes, there are many, many more things that I plan to do. So the thing is, you can do what you want. And Daniel showed you the Google that you have right in your hands. But also for me, earlier on, there was no Google. It was short courses. I looked for the short courses. And to date, I listen, I join, now Zoom is all over you learn. So every day is a learning day and you pick up something and you may find it useful for your work. We have such experts around, find them. Recently, we went for a training on beekeeping. So I start my beekeeping with the knowledge, me, the owner of the business, has the necessary knowledge, not just bringing in somebody who might be telling me something that is actually not true. So knowledge is power. To the young girls, confidence. I started a team of women when I was at the UIA Women Entrepreneurs Network, because there were no women. There were no women in business, none registered for sure. They were out there, they were trading, but they were not registered. So we knew, what do we need to do? First, we need to give them a confidence. How does one get confidence? Knowledge. If I know the subject, like today, Ben, you invited me here today. I know manufacturing, so I'm happy. You have called me to say something else, I may not have been so happy. So I'm confident. So ladies, no, learn things. Knowledge is power. Secondly, your passion. Is there something you like? Follow your passion. Don't follow other people's passion. Don't copy other people. So what is it that's of interest to you? And I hope it's manufacturing. And manufacturing is cool. I can share examples of Mama Chia's. She's now huge and she's going into concentrate processing. You always knew her drink, Cheers, but she's now going into farming and everything, the whole value chain, so that she can produce you Cheers from our own local fruit. That's Mama Chia's, really outstanding. And how she's just there. She's a fighter. So ladies, we can do it. And so many successes that we are seeing now. Our chair, Daniel's chair is Barbara Muruana. What other role models do you need, girls? Do you know how old she is? Well, not like me. You look at me and yes, I'm older. Barbara is a young girl. She's there. So you can do it. Look at the role models that we now have, so many that are so successful in their businesses, and you can do it too. So the other thing is, family. Our culture, our family brought us up to, take a back seat to the men. Now you are mothers as well. So now I'm talking to you as the mothers of the next generation. Bring them up exactly the same as the boys. Let them do everything. Let the boys do everything as well, so that they are brought up with that confidence that, yes, they can. And that will make a huge difference. But for you, if you did not have that background, because I had it, I had 4 brothers, and everything they did, I did. But if you didn't have that, make sure the next generation has it. And now you seek knowledge. Any woman who knows a subject will speak up. She'll be confident. But if you don't know, you sit quietly in the corner and nobody will notice that you're there. So young ladies, yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. And they are really doing brilliantly out there. We want you to join them. Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Dr. Maggie. Yeah, I'm just wondering, why aren't you including yourself on the list of these role models? Do you have any idea what sort of impact you have on our young ladies? You're trying to be too modest, so I'll blow your horn for you. You're an amazing role model, and I'm sure anyone who is watching you is just thinking, you know what, I've got to go try and be like Dr. Maggie. So thank you so much. I have a couple of other questions for you. I'll bring them to you in just a moment. Let me first check in with Daniel, because Daniel, there's so many questions about processes and systems and how Uganda Manufacturers Association, for example, can help UNBS certification, being able to sort of get certification for the equipment that you need and all of that stuff. Is there a way a person can be able to get that information that's not Google? Because sometimes Google might have different certifications for different places. If I came to UMA, am I able to get guidance on how to set up my entire chain from the registration to the manufacturing processes and all of that? Is that something that UMA is able to help people do?
Yes, it's something that we're able to help people do. It's something we do with a lot of our members who come in or non-members. Our interest is manufacturing, and our interest is growing manufacturing in this country. So whoever is looking to get into that, get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help. We have a sister organization also called the Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, which deals with the smaller players in the market. And they're also always happy to assist. They're actually running a program on certification for small businesses at subsidized cost. So that could be something that people can take use of. It's also located in the UMA showgrounds, right next to our offices. The other element perhaps on machinery is that manufacturing machinery comes in duty-free in this country, as long as it's designated to go into manufacturing. So that's even a bit, that's a good starting point, that if you bring in machinery from manufacturing, you're not going to pay taxes. If you belong to any of the recognized associations, you're going to also get a waiver on pre-export inspection of these machines. And you're also going to get assistance in setting them up. So the motto here is get in touch with either ourselves, Uganda Small Scale Industries Association, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Uganda Industrial Research Institute. We are so many entities that are assisting manufacturing. Don't be a stranger to us. Get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Robert, someone is asking, how easy is it to get certification for cosmetic products? How hard of a hassle is it if someone wants to get into the cosmetic space? Would you have any idea from the COVID experience if someone wanted to get into cosmetics?
Yes, of course. You can't deal in personal care and you're not very close to UNBS. Today, I think Movit stands as the #1 company in Uganda with the biggest number of certifications. So we live this process literally. How hard is it? It is really complex. And why is this? Because these are products that are being applied onto someone's skin. I know my brother and the teams in beverages will also say the same, because they make things that enter the body. So there is no cutting corners around it. However, UNBS is very, very helpful. They will walk you down the process very easily, and you're able to get the certification if your product passes the test. So yes, there are a series of tests, because you'll have to submit a product, you'll have to give it time. Yes, you've stabilized it as yourself, the manufacturer, but you have to give them time again to run their own stability tests in a period of a few months. Now they are working around the clock to even reduce this to almost make it real time, and that is where we are headed to. But in a period of a few months, and you're being engaged as well, they'll come visit your site of manufacturing and they will assist you. So I think like Daniel has recommended, please don't make UNBS a stranger. If you're into any sort of manufacturing for personal care, the process I believe is just as a bit tedious, even for beverages and drinks, because these are things that are that can harm the human being if they are not well done. So I think I just implore the young people out there to be able to interact with UNBS. But one thing I'll tell them is they are a very responsive body. I think I am amazed by how they work of late, because they'll reach out to you, they'll come ask how their services are. So I really ask the young people to reach out to UNBS.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Dr. Ben and his team are doing an amazing job, and I keep telling him that every time I get to see him. Moses, let me pick up on this point and come to you in terms of what Robert has just talked about, because I think it's absolutely important. So Robert is talking about cosmetics and maybe Pepsi and Coke and the fact that they go into our bodies, being in quality assurance. How important is it for our young people, even without the need for UNBS, to make sure that they are checking the quality of their products, right? There's a particular brand of Gonja crisps that I like, and we eat them a lot. The other day, I was very shocked to open one of the packs, and it had, I think, when they were frying them, they had left some of the dregs of the cooking oil. So one of the packs, you could see that there was just so much dirt on the crisp and everything, and it just made you think, do I want to eat this again? Where are they being made? And it sort of puts you off. And I'm sure I'm probably not the only one. So Moses, how does someone who doesn't have the resources that CCBA has still try and make sure that their quality assurance is on point, even when they are making things in their own living room?
Thanks, Ben. It's a very good and interesting question to answer. First, what I'll say is technical knowledge about your product. You should be the subject matter expert of your product. Even before you call in UNBS, there is what we call quality at source. Where you're doing your product, quality is supposed to start at where you're doing your product, coming from the materials, what you use, and everything. When they come to audit, let me say UNBS, because what I'm talking about, I have just gone through it with a company that is micro, with only 2 people, that is me and someone I would call a quality controller, and we are given certification. But we don't have any robust equipment in that process. Can you use the readily available materials? Can you do a risk assessment of those materials vis-a-vis your product? Are they compatible with your product? There are a lot of things that you can use around to ensure that you maintain your product to be of quality. So these people, when they came, they were even amazed that we already had a passing test result with the way we are doing things. So I'll scale it down from Coca-Cola to something. I'm speaking to someone who is starting up something small. Be the subject matter expert. One of the strengths that were picked out in that audit is the technical knowledge that we demonstrated about the product. Okay? So there are a lot of people who call UNBS to come and inspect, but you find they are not even knowledgeable about their own product. Okay? And then they want to take out the product. So for me, the starting point is to understand what is the nature of the product that I'm doing, what is its intended use, okay, for that product. What do I have at my disposal, readily available materials that I can use to produce this product, and how can I maintain quality at source? The basics are hygiene, okay, hygiene around where you are working from, okay. What is the package material that you're going to use? That's why I said you do risk assessment of the product contact surfaces. If you opt to use a paper, what is its impact onto your product? Is it compatible? So those are the few things that I would want people to focus on at the start. What is my product? What package is suitable for this product? How can I ensure hygiene around? Because your first customers are the people around. I'm bold to say that our first customers for that wine were actually people around me. My fellow employees, the neighbors in that place, and everyone liked the product. And then you market yourself based on your technical knowledge. We started selling this product not because people assumed this quality, but whenever they could see this product and they attach it to Moses, they know Moses has had experience into the manufacturing sector. So probably he knows what quality means. So someone is
We seem to have lost Moses there for just a moment while we're trying to get him back. Dr. Maggie, can I come to you again? You've been with the Investment Authority for a very long time. You spent quite a bit of time there. There's this notion that the government seems to support foreign investors more than it supports our local investors and, for example, our young people who want to start, in business. Do you think that there's any water to that? But also from your experience, what sort of initiatives have you seen that the government might put in place that our young people can be able to tap into?
That is absolutely untrue. The government is a Ugandan government, MPs are Ugandan, so the laws they produce are actually better for the Ugandans. We really want Ugandans to invest in Uganda. They have the local knowledge, they have the land that they own. So there are so many advantages. We've educated them. Government has universities everywhere. We have 60 universities now. You're all coming out and you're all sharp and you're all educated. And that's because we are all hoping that you will go into, for example, manufacturing. Yes, there are incentives that are offered by government. These are usually managed, they are always managed by the Uganda Revenue Authority. So there are reductions in taxes, especially for manufacturing. If you can't get a tax holiday, if you are in the export processing zones that the government is putting in place, they are putting in place industrial parks because it's difficult to get land. So you'll all be able to access land if you are going into manufacturing in a whole 25. When I was there, we were planning for 22. By the time I left, we had Namamve, we had Soroti, we had Mbale, but not developed yet, some of them, but on the way, Mbarara and Kasese. And now I hear they have much more. So they're targeting 25 urban centers. So you'd be able to get a piece of land. We also targeted supporting incubation centers. There's already incubation at Food Science in Makerere. There's Uganda Industrial Research Institute, now moved to Namamve. I provided land to at least 3 incubators. Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association, they're busy working on setting up. And also, there was Enterprise Uganda as well. So those would be incubators where you can have an opportunity to try out your business, work on it and grow it and understand, borrow equipment for the time that you are there, because we all know you don't have money to buy particularly expensive manufacturing equipment. But I am seeing already many people beginning to come up with those local products. We've talked of the bushera. I love Movisi. My Jaja used to make Movisi. So now I can actually go and buy a nice clean bottle certified by UNBS from the market, and I'm happy about that. There are some other herbal ones and all that that I would need to do a little more research on, but they are on the market. Those of you who used herbs when you were young, I know Movit picked on their herbal jelly, and that was one of the first products, I think, both with Movit and Samona, a herbal, because we knew our judges used to use herbs on us and we'd get better, whatever was ailing us, improve our skins. Shea butter is another one that Northern Uganda knows very, very well. Every person in Northern Uganda, when they're babies, they look good because of shea butter. So bringing in our own local products has been something that for the small and medium enterprises is something you can do and then build on. Movit did not start the way it is. We did not, even as Pepsi, we took it over when it was only producing like, less than 5 million crates. We are now targeting 50 million. So you can see that you start small, it's not easy. I don't want to pretend to any of you that it is easy. You have to do without the car, without the house, without the big wedding, but yes, you can do without those. And in the end, your business will be up and running.
Again, as always, the optimist making us feel like we can do anything. So thank you, Dr. Maggie. Let me come to you, Robert, for just a moment. And Daniel, you can also chip in on this. The issue of the quality of our products. As you can imagine, we are now in a global space. I think it was Dr. Maggie and Daniel who mentioned the free continental trade agreement. And I know there's a lot of things that are happening in that space where there's going to be an opportunity for Ugandans to get their products across the borders. Starting with you, Robert, and then we'll come to Daniel. How important is it for our young people when they are starting to make products, even from the very beginning, not only to think about now, but also think about expanding their horizons beyond Uganda? Movit is now in how many countries, Robert? I think 8 or 9 already. And yet, you know, like Dr. Maggie is saying, you started from Movit Herbal Jelly and look where you are now. How does a young person begin from the very start to think at that level and therefore position themselves and what they're doing with that in mind? We'll start with you, Robert, and then we'll go to Daniel.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dr. Maggie interfaced with Movit products even before young people like myself joined the business. So she totally understands our journey and how it has been. I like to start from the angle of what I have seen in all these markets across Africa that I've managed to step into. There is too much opportunity, and I think the young people here as well need to realize that we shouldn't block our thinking to only this country, because we are here, we are bred here, we have opportunity here. But as we set out to make business plans, we need to give ourselves that space. I think I've also learned from Dr. Maggie Chigozi about the patience and you know, appreciating time and allowing time to take its effect on your idea or business. So in this regard, Ben, I'd be telling the young people that as you're creating the idea, because today we are in the era where you need a business plan. We are not in the era where you just hit out and start. No, I believe that everyone needs to have that, you know, that processing. You allow to take the orderly steps, because many of us are already educated. The young people we're talking to have access to some level of education. So in your plan, you should be able to say, in my second year, after the 6th month, I am going to be stepping out to a Kenya, understand how Kenya is constituted, to a Burundi, understand how Burundi is constituted. I was in markets like Zambia, which are very liberal, and market entry and your ability to start off is very simple. So I think it's a process. First, we need to appreciate the process. I liked what my colleague from Coca-Cola mentioned. He said, I am making a product and I first tested it out on the neighbors, you know. So I can't advise you to jump outside Uganda when you haven't even convinced us yet that the product is good. So my belief is that you do some time in Uganda and then have your plan well set on where you're going to step into. And I believe that the opportunity out there for Ugandan-made products, I also want to assure the young people that the products made here are superior in any African market which we have taken them. If they are quality products, they are superior. You go out there, you're seeing products like Lato, you're seeing quite a number of products from Uganda as well in all those markets where we are able to surface. And when our products are made here and made well, we have quality products. So it's a next step in the business. I believe it's a next step, and young people should plan also looking at stepping out and getting into those spaces.
Wow, brilliant. Thanks, Robert. This is the ideathon, as you can imagine, and I'm just blown away by some of the ideas that people are sharing here. I saw someone who was wanting to do something around goats. You want to do an entire value chain to do with goats. I think it's from you, Tony. You wanted to do goat a manufacturing product that is to do with everything to do with goats, goat milk, soap, goat milk, paint, leather, and all of that. Very interesting there. Someone also was talking about doing something to do with rabbit sausages. That's an interesting one. I would love to test those. My favorite idea at the moment also is from Sankara Biaruhanga. You say you want to do toilet soundproofing. That's a brilliant idea. I think you'll make a lot of money with toilet soundproofing, no doubt about that. Keep them coming, please keep sharing. Daniel, if you have anything to add on to what Robert was saying, please feel free to do that. Ibra, you were saying that there's no one who's going to pay 15 million shillings for a welder in Uganda. Well, guess what? I know someone who is making almost double that from doing welding. So you want to be shocked, right? Robert, you're muted. If you're saying something, Robert, I think you're muted. If you're saying something, you need to unmute yourself, and then we'll go to Daniel. Daniel?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ben. Robert, I don't know, Robert was still saying something. Do you?
I think, Robert, if you're still saying something, you need to unmute yourself before we go to Daniel. All right, we'll probably come to him later on. So Daniel, yeah, toilet soundproofing. That's a brilliant idea, isn't it?
I saw that. I saw the question, and I didn't know where to start. So I left that to you. But no, certainly, and I think the message out of this is that whatever you're innovating, think of a challenge. Think of a challenge in your environment that you are solving with your innovation. Toilet soundproofing sounds reasonable because, I mean, if you're living in a small house and sharing a toilet, you and I both know that the noises that can come from there can be quite disconcerting. So it's an opportunity to innovate around that. I mean, why not? Relatedly, I would say, in addition to what Robert has said, the other thing is, as you innovate your new product, think about the markets that you're going to take this product into, so that off the bat, you're preparing a quality standard product that fits within the markets that you're going to. Because that way, you don't have to re-engineer your product along the way, because you already have a product that fits the market that you intend to go into. Fortunately for us as Uganda, is that UNDP has ensured that our standards are a notch higher than pretty much most markets in Africa. So automatically, if you're fulfilling the UNBS standard, you're going to be able to fulfill the standards of the markets that you intend to go into. So that's one quick magic bullet that will help you get through this. The other bit perhaps is, if you or your relatives or your friends would not buy the product, why do you expect that the rest of us will buy it? So that's the first rule of thumb. Would you buy your own product? Would you be comfortable taking it? Would you be comfortable giving it to your children? Would you be comfortable giving it to your parents? If you can't be comfortable, then there's a problem with that product, and you need to innovate more and get it working better. Ben?
Thank you very much, Daniel. I have one last question for all of you, at least for the official part of our session today. I'll start with you, Dr. Maggie, and then we'll come to Moses, and finally to Robert, and finally back to Daniel. On the issue of technology, I know you talked about this at the beginning, but how important has technology, especially in line of software, for example, become in your processes and the things that you do? And how many opportunities do you see in that space for our young people to be able to come into, manufacturing with innovation using technology and software? We'll start with Dr. Maggie, and then we'll come to Moses, Robert, and finish with Daniel with your final thoughts.
It has been a lifesaver. It really has. Technology, even as is right now, and we know it is evolving. We are getting more and more opportunities. You can now manage from home. You can manage from home for many reasons. First, of course, a mobile phone. Everyone, all your workers, so whichever department you want to talk to, somebody will pick the phone. They are largely on internet, so emails, knowledge is an email away. Results are an email away. We have finance packages that we can also follow even from home. And on top of that, we are able to follow the manufacturing process right from the beginning and know how much sugar's gone in, so everything is now getting computerized, which we didn't have before. The bad side of it is you may need less employees I first saw this in South Africa when we visited a company that was producing cobalt, and there were hardly any employees. Everything was automated. There was one person there, same as Bitcoin Kenya. That was one of the companies I first saw, that the only employees were sitting in the computer room, and everything else was sort of moving automatically, and therefore very clean and very precise, and so the quality is very high. And as we move that way, a different group of people be employed rather than the ones that were on the line before, as you package all the way right up to the packaged goods, and you are able to send them to market onto the truck with hardly any people in the factory. It may not be so good for us right now because our people still need jobs, but COVID has sort of pushed it ahead. We have begun to look at it seriously because of SOPs. We can't have our people crowded together. So technology, even the machinery itself is different. Roads are so easy to do with those huge machines that we see on the roadsides. I remember when my father was in the Ministry of Works, he had so many people just slashing, and a lot of this is now done using technology, opening up the roadsides. So much is being done with technology. So yes, we now need the ICT department, huge. I am happy to have been a part of the beginning of that, where we made sure we brought in ICT. We did everything that was necessary for Uganda to be linked. Can you imagine where it would be now without NITA, without NCC, without the MTNs and the Airtels and those companies of this world? They're all here and they have made us strong. So you young people are coming in at that level. So you will now need to come into and fit yourself into a different value chain, not the one we used to have many years ago. But this one will require your brain, will require your skills. And yeah, it's good for you. It's an opportunity for you because you are much more highly educated than we were. When I was at Makerere, they would take maybe 1% of the Ugandan population. We had about 2,000 students in total. Now you guys have 60 universities and the numbers are mind-boggling. So you have you have this opportunity to respond to the need of today, the need for ICT and the use of it, and the need for technology. You are able to answer. And yeah, we are excited about the Uganda of tomorrow.
Right. And Dr. Maggie, I do have to ask, that ringtone, is that a mobile phone or do you have one of those old landlines? I couldn't help but ask about that.
Yes, unfortunately, if I'm not hearing a phone ring, I will not pick it up. I'll think the radio's playing or the television, my grandchildren are singing. So I need the old phone call in order to pick it up. Yeah, that is a phone. I pick the old phone.
I love it. I want one of those in my house. Thank you, Dr. Maggie. Let me come. Oh, yeah, I love the ringtone. Absolutely. Robert, this issue of technology, of course, in a marketing context, it becomes even more important now. We've seen Google and Facebook become the biggest advertising agencies in the world at the moment. How critical is it for anyone who is thinking about going into this space to make use of online marketing and social media and incorporate technology and software in all the things that they do?
Yes, thank you very much. Here, as I also give the closing remarks, first I'll tell the young people that digital and the internet and ICT give us an opportunity to learn, and learn. I think that is one of the key takeaways you need to have, as Daniel pointed it out, that there is all this Google and there is YouTube. Please use the opportunity to learn, and then also for the opportunities where you can get into some of those organizations to simulate, be it a month or two. For me, I think that was a very huge takeaway, and I advise someone, any young person out there, to take up these opportunities, because at the end of the day, it's opportunities like these that are going to give you the experience. I tell my teams that experience is only experience because it is earned through experience. So there is no way around it. You need to make time to experience things and be able to start out strong. However, talking the benefits that are going to come with this digital marketing, as Ben as well has highlighted it, first is applications. Any young person who can sit out there and craft a relevant application to this circumstance is going to be able to make money. I've interfaced with young people who are coming up with all sorts of ideas, all sorts of ways promotions can be done. And these are people who simply reach out on LinkedIn and they come to you, tell you there is this idea. So aside from the opportunity to learn, this access to digital has also given you access to people. You can actually go on a platform and send a message to Dr. Maggie Chigozie. Probably people in our in 5-6 years ago, or not 6 years ago, like probably 15 years ago, couldn't do that. So there is even access to knowledge. You're going to reach out to someone, ask a question, reach out to people like myself, ask a question, because at the end of the day, I also tell young people that we are the ones we've been waiting for. You need to also see how you tap into the experiences of colleagues who just have a bit more exposure. So applications for me are a key takeaway. Apps that are around, for example, could be personal care, could be consumers' access to what they need, could be services that they need. Applications, I think, are the in thing, because as I said, adoption has gone on the high. Adoption of usage of these applications has gone on the high right now in Uganda. And if you make a good application, it is able to pick up and even make you more money. Lastly is digital marketing. On this, what I can tell you is these are free platforms. The issue about it is starting. Please start. I know the starting is crazy. You're going to start and you're seeing one follower, your friend and yourself, and you're wondering, who will I ever talk to? But please start, because the odds are on your side that 3 years from now, you're going to have 2,000 people and the person starting then will have one. The odds are on your side. Please start out. For me, for social media, even Ben, before they get into the advertising, because the advertising is still money, could be small money, but start with the audience. Convince the audience of people you've studied with. Convince the audience of people in your village. Convince your friends, and you're going to be able to make a difference in our society. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Robert. I need you to repeat that statement you made, because it's a quotable quote. Experience is only experience because you get it through experience.
Exactly. And let me give you just give me a minute to give you a story I got from Dr. Maggie. We met at the East Africa Business Council meeting, and part of the things I was asking her myself was, what is the one thing you would want me to go away with? And she told me, one of the challenges we have as young people is we are not patient. And the people we are trying to compare ourselves with are the Dr. Maggie Chigozies. When she tells you her process, there are things she told me in confidence that I would probably not share here, but I was in shock, because a process, when you understand their process, when you understand the process of Simpson Birungi, who owns Movit, and it is now we are clocking the 9th country. I think we are closing into Malawi in a week or two. It is a process, a story, but the young people don't have that. So guys, experience is only experience because it is only gotten through experience.
Very well said. And I'm sure that everyone now understands properly the concept of going process by process. If you know, you know. It's 11 a.m. and officially we need to be wrapping up for now. I want to say a big thank you to all our panelists. Again, like I said, the 2 hours just fly by so quickly. As I mentioned at the beginning, please go to undp.nase.co.ug if you haven't registered your idea yet, so you can go and put it there. You never know, there's an opportunity for you to get some funding from NASE, but also from other programs. But also you can interact with people like Movit and Manufacturer Association as well to get some more insight. I'm going to hand over back to Dennis now, who will come in and stick around. And of course, for any of our panelists who are still around and don't need to be anywhere too quickly, to take care of some more of your questions, but also hear from you. But others, on behalf of the UNDP team and the team at NASE, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. For those guys who have been on joining us online, thank you so much for being a part of the manufacturing session. I'll hand over to Dennis now to give us an idea of what's coming next, but also to stick around and get some more questions in case there are any with the rest of our panel. Dennis, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ben, for a wonderful moderation, and especially to our distinguished panel for your thoughts, for your insights, for your commentary, for your expertise. It's fantastic. When I mentioned at the beginning, trying to alert our listeners that some of you guys think that these topics are not cool, here you are. Manufacturing, who would have thought all the cool stuff that goes on in manufacturing? So thank you very much, especially for our panelists for agreeing at a very short notice to join us today. This session was supposed to have happened tomorrow. So thank you very much. And I've learned a lot as well, this idea of process. I've known about it in other ways, but there are no shortcuts to success. I agree with you guys entirely that you have to put yourself out there and crack on, and along the way your break will actually happen. We are going to go through some questions very quickly if you haven't been, and maybe for the panelists, if you're able to stay behind, you don't maybe have to put your video on, you can answer the questions in the Q&A section. But if you want to talk, actually, I will allow you to talk. Myself and my colleagues should allow you to talk. But some of the questions here are, I'll go through them very quickly, and I could ask my colleagues, if I could, to rank them, just give them a thumbs up, and we shall answer them hopefully as quickly as possible. We should be done in the next 25 minutes or so. This one is from Omala Martin Larry. My name is Larry, and I would like you guys to talk about entrepreneurship. Linking these two is a challenge. Capital-wise, also capacity building is a challenge. This question is a bit ambiguous. It's very hard to respond to it, but we know that entrepreneurship is challenging. I don't know whether you meant entrepreneurship and marketing and manufacturing. I'm not sure. The question is really a bit ambiguous. Too ambiguous actually to answer. We intend to start making shoes and cloth printing. What should really be our major marketing strategy? This is the ultimate team. That's what they're calling themselves. We are seeing that a lot of, especially in lockdown, word of mouth is really very important. WhatsApp is really very important. Social media, if you've been seeing what's been happening on Instagram, amazing stuff. We recently were blessed with bear with me. Yes, so there's a lot of social media that you can use, and we think that's a very effective way. That's really without looking at your product or service. That is one of the ways I would suggest you go about it. Maybe try and get some of your friends who are more popular. One of the panelists was talking about getting people to like. Maybe you get someone who has tried your product and talk about it on social media. I could go on and on, but there are very many techniques that you can use. To Daniel Milunji, please elaborate more on SME certification at UMA. I don't know whether Daniel is still with us and able to respond to this, but I suspect not, so I'll move that question over. The ultimate team will intend to start making shoes. I think that's been responded to as well. How can we differentiate the economic productivity in agriculture and in manufacturing sector? Dr. Maggie Chigos, thank you. I think this question is probably an academic one, trying to differentiate these two. This being a manufacturing session, the focus really was to inspire you to go on and crack on with your projects within the manufacturing space. Again, I'm asking my colleagues to help me rank the questions just by using, put the thumbs up on the tick, and then the question will pop up, and then I can respond to the most important ones. Dr. Maggie, why is the price of our products manufactured in the country not as highly valued compared to those done and what can we do to improve the loophole? Price strategies are really an interesting space that someone who's done advanced consumer behavior on an MBA or something like that should be able to help explain. But our colleagues at Movit, I think, have done an excellent job in terms of getting their products. I've seen some of your products in London, would you believe, in some of the salons in London. So well done. But your question really is about how do you attach a particular price to local products. That's a whole huge bet. I think my advice is that customers normally pay for what they value. If they value it, they'll come back, whether it is Ugandan or not. Some advice about my current inventory idea. This is Omar Muammar asking. I am thinking of a mobile market that can be contained in areas as big as suitcase. Mobile market, but can be set up as big as a rental. The aim of this is to help people who work with bulk reduce the factor by simple dragging your whole market in a simple suitcase area as a potential market. Also eliminate rent, that is a big burden. Basically, you are bringing Kutembea 2.0. I think that's the name that I would give you idea. That's a brilliant idea. Please, Omar, please submit this as an idea. I think it's a fantastic idea in the retail space. It reminds me of Musana Cuts by Dr. Bitature's daughter. I've forgotten her name, but I remember them as students doing something similar called Musana Cuts for Rolexes. In fact, theirs even had solar, so you could even put solar. People can start selling in the evening. I think that's a brilliant idea. Omar, please do submit your idea, and who knows what could happen out of that. Mohammed Kafuma. To Dr. Maggie, my idea is to limit challenges or problems. My idea to limit challenges or problem is the government to reuse giving citizens grace period or advantages like foreigners. The question sometimes can be very hard to read because of the way they've been structured. But I think Muhammad is talking about tax breaks for local businesses. Sadly, I'm not able to comment on that. Muammar Moses, thank you very much. What do I really need for my cosmetics products to be certified? The best person to have helped you would have been my colleague from Movit Products, because really that's the space they're in. But I think the Uganda Registration Services Bureau might have some information about this. I think there's a certification bureau, if I'm not mistaken. Uganda Manufacturers Association should be able to help. And I'm sure there's a lot of information available on their website. But if one of the products, if you have an idea that you submitted as part of the ideathon, one of the things that we're going to be doing is helping you with processes like this. I will send you in the right direction. So if your idea is about cosmetics, go ahead and let us know what those challenges are, and we shall help you. Jolie Nabusita, I'm producing lactation cookies, and I see customers interested. My biggest challenge is my capital and location, which makes the product expensive for consumers due to delivery costs. Help me navigate this challenge. Again, this question is a bit ambiguous. Where are your customers? Are they in London? Are they in Kabul? When you say capital, how much capital do you need? What do you need it for? Have you attempted to? So it's a bit complex, but again, these are some of the this is some of the help that you're likely to get if you make it all the way to the masterclass sessions as part of the ITF. I manufacture this is Shimi Mary. I manufacture mosquito repellent bathing soap using our local organic repellent plants to reduce the morbidity deaths caused by malaria in Uganda. Uganda stands third annual deaths caused by malaria. How do I approach Uganda National Bureau of Standards for certification? Perhaps my colleague, Jimmy, who's on the line, our business information manager, and maybe our colleagues from the UNDP, this might be something to add on to our arsenal. I know we have the likes of Uganda Registration Services Bureau on board, but clearly, especially coming out of this manufacturing section, the thematic session, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, we will have to engage them for some advice, guidance, mentorship, and ultimately support to help some of these ideas flourish. But I think this soap that repels mosquitoes, I think it's a brilliant idea, provided it doesn't repel members of the opposite sex. For some of the youth, I think that might be a big issue. So something to look into. But all these things can be addressed. Tino Jennifer Faith, a good morning to you. I'm basically concentrating on producing hair extensions for natural fiber. I've seen something like this actually. It's been a video trending about this. Please help throw more light on this, focusing on our market. I've seen a video trending where fiber, sisal, is an abundant supply, but of course, it can be used for lots of things, including hair extensions. I didn't realize, but Uganda spends a lot of money importing hair. Not that I can comment a lot about hair, I'm not an expert in that space, but the hair industry globally is huge, especially for the Black, for the Black African community. And sadly, the vast majority of the businesses that are owned in this space are not owned by Africans. So I think there's a huge opportunity for that, and using local materials that are biodegradable is a brilliant idea. I think the test of this one will be in the pudding. What you don't want to see is people literally wearing sisal. So are there ways in which you can go about it to make it believable, and so on and so forth? So there are ways that we can help you with this one. The first one, of course, will be to send you in the right direction. Off the top of my head, I can think of Uganda Industrial Research Institute. This is the kind of stuff my friend Professor Charles Kwesiga would be delighted to support if they're not already doing it. The other day we had on the panel Philippa Ngajuma Kobore again from Uganda Industrial Research Institute, and very many others that I'm sure would want to help. The next question is about substandard products. I can't comment on that as much, but again, National Bureau of Standards should be able to help you with some of this. Catherine, I'm Catherine. My question is, after registration on NASE, what next? Oh, a fantastic question. So Catherine, we had resisted the temptation to bombard you with lots of information regarding what happens after your idea has been registered. But now the ideas are being looked at in the background by our team. And the next phase is to take those ideas to what we're calling masterclasses to help some of these ideas be best polished. For instance, this one of the colleagues who was one of the questions was about hair from sisal. It's just an idea. Someone was talking about toilets, doing toilets so that soundproof toilets, if I might remember. That's just an idea. So now we want to take it to the next level, and we wanted to first give almost as many people as we can an opportunity to register. We wanted to first go through the thematic sessions like this one, so that some of you who will have submitted some ideas, maybe listening to panelists, you might want to refine your idea so that even by the time we go to the next phase, the ideas have benefited from experts and real entrepreneurs who are in the same space. Some of the questions that you would have asked us will have inevitably been answered by some of the panelists. So the next phase, you should get an email if you have not already done so. I think the next batch of emails is going out on Friday, where we will let you know of the next phase. The next phase is the master classes, but we're already seeing that some of the ideas actually don't even need to wait for the master classes. Some of the ideas are already so developed, in fact, that we are considering with our partners at the UNDP to take them to fast track them onto the next phase, which is essentially giving them grants and let them crack on, because some of those are needed right now for during lockdown, and it would be a great shame if we're not processing those ones quicker. But those discussions are ongoing. Keep an eye on your email, and more information will be made available. Hello, Papa Aguma. Some guidance on how to make profile or idea edited. Oh yes, the same thing. We talked about this the other day. I don't know whether my colleague Dixon Mushabe is on the call as one of the panelists, but the digital platform, I think, was ready by today morning, and an email should be going out, if it hasn't done so, probably tomorrow, to invite you to log into this digital platform that will allow you to edit your idea. We had a few tweaks that we were doing over the weekend, So I need to check up on that one. Please send an email to info@nase.co.ug so that when this email goes out, you're notified. But the email will be going out to everyone anyway. But there will be an opportunity to update your idea. Brian Onechan to Daniel Virunji, what packages or services does UMA have? Again, this one, best go to the website. Ndugwa Israel, thanks for this opportunity you have given us as youths. The Chikaya Youth Initiative Development Group, we started with savings, then we managed to buy some equipment. So we started producing cakes, daddies, and breads, but we're facing a problem of marketing and funds. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. When you say a problem of marketing, what do you mean? What does that actually mean? When you're facing a problem of marketing, is it that you're telling people and they're not buying? Is it that you're using the wrong channel? Is it that you don't have money for packaging? When you say funds, what do you mean? Do you want 100 million so that you can start marketing? Do you want 10,000 shillings? What funds do you need? What do you need them for? Where have you looked? So again, these are some of the details that we should help you with as part of your ideathon going forward. And then maybe for the benefit of the our participants, when you ask questions, please be very clear and detailed, be very specific. When you're talking about daddies, mention how many daddies do you produce and which location, who is your target market. When you say you struggle to reach them, what does that mean? So that we're able to help you with slightly more useful information as opposed to me giving you generic responses. Namesake, Dennis, the regulatory requirements are so many. UNBS, EG requires a lot and is a lot of money required. Others like NEMA, yet we are suffering with capital. How can we handle this too? The good thing with the ideathon is that working with the UNDP, we've lowered the bar so much so that if your idea requires to head in the direction of UNBS, we should be able to give you a hand. If it requires to head in the direction of NEMA, we should be able to give you a hand. If it requires to head in the direction of Registration Services Bureau, we should be able to give you a hand. So this is a fantastic opportunity for anyone that is facing such institutional challenges. You're never going to get a better chance because of the team that we put together to help you execute your idea. IBN Mubarak, question to Dr. Maggie, who has sadly left. People want to partner when things are okay. How do you accommodate such a situation and yet people don't want to partner in early stages? That's a classic entrepreneurship challenge, not just for Maggie. Everyone will tell you that one, you need partners, you need people on board to work because you can't do everything by yourself. But then again, you need to find people who are like-minded. If you see what NASE has done, for instance, in terms of our ecosystem approach, we've put together people that we've worked with in the past, who we can vouch for, the likes of Celeste Media and Ben here, the likes of, I could go on, the list is too long. Mitch, we've worked with Mitch for a while in Makerere University, incubating some of these brilliant student ideas. Postalite has been with us from day one when we launched NASE. Dixon Mushabe was one of our keynote speakers. So you need to choose very carefully who you bring on board in terms of partnerships, but you can't do everything alone. Some of the partners we have on board, like ILA, Innovate Labs Africa, their expertise in intellectual property, which is key to an idea being protected, is invaluable. So you have to concede where you don't have the expertise and engage the services of those who are experts in that area. Stay in your lane, do what you're very good at, but bring other people on board. But partner selection is a very key aspect. Different organizations like ours have a criteria that we base ourselves to bring people on board. But sometimes you find that you have to do what we call single sourcing based on your experience and relationships working with these individuals, especially if you need to move very quickly and very fast. Next one is Mackenzie. My name is Mackenzie, founder Macpots Makerspace Limited, Mbarara, Uganda. Please tell us about the commercialization after the first fully working tested product, like a machine product that costs about 5 million to produce a single unit. Commercialization, again, it depends on what the product is. Again, if you guys have submitted your idea, you should get more support as we get into the next phase of the ideathon, which is the masterclasses. The purpose of the masterclasses really is to help look at the business within the idea. So working on things like business model canvases, you should be able to hopefully answer some of these questions. Okay, I am going to do maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. Someone is asking about artificial insemination of rabbits. Perhaps Hadija might be able to help us with this one. Our colleague from the UNDP, I know that one of her passions and side hustles has to do with rabbits. Hadija, are you able to answer this one? Artificial insemination on rabbits. If not, we can crack on. For a small-scale textile starter, do I need certifications from UNBS? Again, another question from Uganda National Bureau of Standards. And I think I had alerted Jimmy to make sure that we have someone from the UNBS when we get into the masterclass sessions. Someone is talking about land being accessed at zero cost. Emails of the panelists, I'm not sure that those were provided for, but of course, subject to data protection, we may not be able to give you some of this information. But if you go onto their respective websites, hopefully you should be able to find some information about them. Some of these guys are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Please look them up and inbox them. Mark Weberle, good morning. I've been thinking about this for half my life. People have given me their reactions, some good, some bad. Whiskey distillery, how feasible is it in Uganda? It's a very good question. I actually supported a product in the UK called Matuga Ram. Their product is now in so many places in Europe. They've won lots of awards. So look up Matuga Ram, Mark Weberle, my friend Paul and Justine should be able to give you some advice. Just mentioned Dennis Aguma said you guys are doing an incredible job. But look them up on the social media handles, everything. These guys are producing ram. It is essentially from Matuga here in Kampala. And they are now based in Scotland doing great work flying the Ugandan flag very high. Correction, I meant for the people who walk around carrying goods. And I think we've answered that one. Anyhow, so quite a number of questions on Uganda Manufacturers Association, Registration Services Bureau, National Bureau of Statistics, and so on and so forth. So enough of the questions. I'll just quickly go through the chats. I think most of the chats will have been responded to by my colleagues. So without further ado, I would like to thank everyone, especially our panelists, my colleagues from the UNDP, all of you guys, thank you so much. Bana, Hadija, Albert, thank you so much for making sure that our connections remain online. Thomas, thank you very much for ensuring that all the live streaming happens. And to Ben for your incredible moderation skills, and Jimmy for having my back, answering all the questions. And lastly, but by no means least, Dorothy Namuyomba and your colleague on sign language, thank you guys so much. You're making it, you're helping us to reach more audiences that are usually forgotten in institutions like these or on programs like these. And for that, we're very grateful. Otherwise, tomorrow, I would like to wish you all a very good, happy Eid. Today, we were not going to have a session. It was supposed to happen tomorrow, but we'll move tomorrow's session to today. So there will be no session tomorrow on Tuesday, just to let you guys enjoy your Eid. And then we shall resume on Wednesday. Please, if you've not submitted your idea, please go to www.undp.nase.co.ug and you should get more information on our social media handles on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and the lot. My name is Dennis Aguma. I'm the founder and executive director here at NASE. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I live on Facebook most of the time. But if you have any questions, you can call our call center, and the number is 070-808-0008. Number again is 070-808-0008, or you can send an email to info@nase.co.ug. Thank you very much. Oh, one second. There's a message that's coming in. Yes, we are planning actually to have a session on intellectual property today at about 3 p.m. I beg your pardon. Sorry, thank you very much, Herbert, for alerting me to that. Although we were thinking of doing it at another time, but keep an eye on our socials. If we do have that session, it's going to be a live session on Facebook. And I think there's going to be a Zoom link as well. So most of this information will be available on our social media handles. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day and enjoy Eid tomorrow. Ciao, adios.